So, real quick, I'm wondering, is my audio stereo or not? For some reason, I can only hear it in my one ear and my right ear, and wondering if my headphones are messed up or something else. So let me know in the comments, in the chat, and yep. All right. So I don't know why this didn't. I set this up. Apparently, I need to do more than what I did, so I will have to check that out another time. All right. So let's check out what we're doing. So today I wanted to go through the inventory. Hold on one second. Let me check. All right, so I wanted to go through the inventory, and I wanted to first show you what I have from a video that's unreleased so far, and that's on this. This is my actual game project, first-person RPG. That's what I named the project. Drinking some coffee. So, we got the module over here, and the module. The demo scene, it's generic, it's white box, so you add things to your inventory, you pick them up, you drop them on a player, and then you click on a player and you can equip it, you can unequip it, you can pass it between people, you can trade them like this and all this sort of things. You can't put them down if it can't be put down, all sorts of things. You can drop them in front of you, all that great stuff. So what I've done is I've implemented that in my actual game project with better looking models. And so this is just the demo scene because I basically have set up everything that needs to be set up. So now when I pick up items, they're better looking than they were in the main demo scene. So we got hand axe here. Got to work with the lighting, I think. But short bow, mace. So I basically set up all the starting items that players could potentially start with, or a lot of them. Into this demo scene, and then when you go here, you can drag them all around, move them around, and do all the organizational stuff that you can press just the player number to all the organizational stuff, and you've seen all the calls here. So that's what I've got so far, and now I want to make this work with the actual game itself. I know the item setup works, so I've got my items here, and that's where this is all set up. So if we expand one of these and look at the dictionary, you can see inventory width, height, object, etc. Thanks, Christopher. Glad to get like it. I love this too. This is I grew up with Might and Magic 6, 7, 8, and actually these are actually all look like they're slightly too far to the left. So there's something I can quickly try to fix that. If we open the inventory panel, this is all part of the instructions. It's also on, actually, if you go to my website and click on the scripting docs, I've already got docs for this up here, including the setup on how to set up items, and hopefully that's going to be helpful, because what we're going to do is this part where we're going to fix things. So I should have them already here. Inventory objects. So I'm going to turn on the grid just so I can see my test grid with a little checker pattern. And the big one was the spear that I noticed was off centered. Where is it? How come I'm not seeing it now? I should see it in the... Oh, this is the test one, that's why. This spear. There we go. Yeah, so interesting. I'll have to look into this because... Oh, there we go. That's why. So the top left... Whoops, gotta zoom in. The top left of this, and I should probably just lock this like this, needs to be right here. At that corner, pretty much. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be about there. So, and then apply all. And I think... It looks like all of these might have the same issue. Yeah. So what I will do, is turn all these on and do them all at the same time. I think this was the test one. Yeah, that one's not the one from my game. And quickly override these. So I leave them in the demo scene so that if I ever need to make a change like this, it's easier just to edit them here rather than anywhere else, because I can see the scale and whatnot. Actually, I'm going to have to change a couple other things I just realized too, because now that I moved them, they're now officially off-centered. So if we load the spear up, for instance, the spear is now no longer centered. So I think I'm going to have to change everything from here down. We can remove the top lefts and the parents. And then move them this way and this way. That makes up for that movement we did with the parent. All right, now reapply these. Shrink the models a bit so they have a bit more padding. Yeah, so that's actually a key point here, is that the colliders are turned off on these, so they won't collide with each other. And how much padding you've got between these is really, very arbitrary. It's subjective to what you want for your game. Potentially, you could have things touching each other or overlapping with each other. Also, you might not want that. So, the size of these objects in the inventory is independent of the size of them outside of the inventory. So you can kind of mess with the scaling a little bit to make them fit the inventory more perfectly without having to raise or lower the size of the object in the world view at all, really. So let me turn these back off and let me quickly just test that just to make sure it's going to work. I'm just going to add a whole bunch of these to this player's inventory until we can't add anything else. All right, pretty close. That's full. All right, so there we go. Now we got the inventories are centered. There we go. The other thing you can do, and I meant to do this in the video, but I didn't do it in the video, is change the colors here so that if you didn't want, this is a very obvious green and red, so you can bring these down maybe to 25, just give or take. And then, oh, now you can barely see them. All right, so maybe that's a little too low. Bring it up a little bit more. There you go. So now you can kind of see it a little bit more. So depending on how you want to do it, you could also do it so that there's no color at all, so that the player just has to figure it out. But I like the idea of showing some visual feedback that you can or cannot pick things up. So yeah, these are 3D models, not sprites. And the goal is that, let's say, I'm going to just, none of these really make sense here, but I'm going to say that this, which one? This one has a particle on it, or a light, some sort of magical thing, right? So if I select this inventory, let's say this is a special one. It's not. This is the same as the other ones, but if it was, then we can create a light, point light on it, and we can make this something colorful, like red, and we'll bring it forward a little bit so that it's in the right spot, give or take. And then we will make this effect, turn some shadows, and coloring mask, nothing, and we only want to affect the UI inventory. So now it's going to affect inventory, but that also means that when you move it around, technically, oh, where'd the light go? Oh, because what? Because it reinstantiated. Anyways, the point is that if you had something with light, then you could have some light effects, you could have some particle effects. Jason's Story had a great idea that when you move it around, maybe they swing a little bit, like, they're attached to my mouse position here, but it would be interesting if they swung, or maybe when you plop it down, you could have a, dust particle behind it and kind of have it move a little bit. So there's some, interactivity that you could add to the way you set it up as well. So definitely some options there. And for people who like organizing things, this could be a dream come true, I suppose. I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'm thinking it would be neat if you could hold down a button and make this turn like sideways. So this super long spear could be sideways and put down here. But I don't know if I'll do that. Maybe I'll add that in a future update. So the next step is to make these work in my actual game so that when a character is created, if they have like the sword skill, they're going to start with a sword. Similar with these other objects, all of these are something that the player could start with. And then go from there. So I'm going to start with the weapons. That we've got other items to add, amulets, more armor. These magic books are something I need to add, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. And then a question on the chat: is there a special inventory light that only affects the inventory? Yeah. So any light that there's a special layer for the inventory. I think I would say this UI inventory layer. If an object is not in that, then it will disappear. So it needs to be there on that layer. When you pick it up, the object on the screen actually gets destroyed and you instantiate a new one. If you're doing object pooling, for a game like this, object pooling probably isn't needed because you're only doing one thing at a time. But if you are doing object pooling, that's where you'd modify stuff, figure out in the code here when you remove an object. Well, not that bit of the code actually. Probably this part of the code. When you remove an object, and not that part of the code either. Well, geez, come on. Okay, this part of the code, when you remove an object, that you'd probably do some pooling here and stuff. But yeah, spawn despawn. Yes, spawn despawn. So that's what's happening here. It's basically copying or making a clone of the item data and attaching it to the new item. Same thing here when you drop it here. It's cloning the item data into the player's list of items that are equipped items, but it's gone from their inventory effectively. And then when you unequip it, all you're really doing is picking it up, putting it into this special category of held object or held item. That way, if you let go, you can put it into the real world. The scale right now, by the way, of this short sword is off, which is why you didn't really see it. So here, let's show that again. If I'm going to pick up a short sword, there we go, and then drop it, you see it gets spawned, but the scale and the rotation is off. I want to change the rotation of the world item, but you can basically drop all these things into the world, and they keep falling into the world. This one apparently is missing something, a rigid body, so I need to add that. So there's some stuff to do there. All right, so let's check out the character creation scene. That's where we need to start. Some slight modifications may need to be had to these scripts. So let's see, scenes. Where are my scenes? There they are. New game. We will save. All right. Sorry if you heard me slurping coffee. I thought I muted, but I think the button didn't work. So you got my coffee slurps, perhaps. All right, so this is the character creation scene. And in it, we can do our skills, and we can get things like leather, which is great. And it shows up here, which is great. If we dig into the data, in our required objects, yeah, we do all need coffee. We have our players right here, and we have this first one, Borba, the female knight, half orc. And we have our equipment spots, and the equipment spots all have an item on it. Yep, and this might be the wrong type of item, though, so we might need to modify that. Yeah, we're going to have to modify some things for sure to make use of the modules. But that's okay. And then we have a learn skills, and that's leather right here. And if we look at our data for stats and skills, we can see that leather has a starting item called leather vest. So what we need to do then, we need to give the player an item at the start as well. So it's not just starting item leather vest. I mean, I guess we could use that because we could then look up our items and look up by the name leather vest, and this has well, all the values for leather vest, I suppose, right here. I haven't added any yet, like, you know, things like armor class or whatnot. It would be armor class somewhere in my list of stats and skills. I haven't added those yet. So, I think what I'll do is look up by name. And hey, Father Joe, I'm glad you made it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up by name. When you equip a skill, I'm going to look up by name. So let's look at another one. Shield. I think, hopefully I did a debug log. Did I? Toggle skill shield. Learn skill shield. Add starting item shield. That seems to be the appropriate spot for adding our information. And I also want to double check that my player, too many scripts, I need to clean this up. Player, let's see, where's the inventory in this? Do I not have an inventory? Position, learn skills, learn spells, list of stat or skills, final stat or skills, stats. I don't have an inventory? Wait a minute. I swear I have an inventory. Why wouldn't I have an inventory? Learn skills, equipment spots, inventory. We do have an inventory. Where is it? Did I hide it? I hid it down here. Huh. Well, that's not so far down, but it was hid a little bit lower. All right. So inventory, we're using infinitypbr.item. Oh, that's the right one. Okay. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay, good. And I'm going to, should I do that up here? InfinityPBR. Yeah, we're going to say using infinitypbr.inventory because we're going to make use of some of those methods, I believe. All right, so the inventory is a list of InfinityPBR items, which is great. And then the inventory data, now that's something I think I will be updating because each player, like in the demo scene, and if we go back to the web here, then we can see that in the scripting docs, which I've set up for myself and for others, that each, in class setup, each object needs spots. Spots and list item to any class which has an inventory. So we have the list item. That's literally just a list of the items in the inventory. And then the spots are hold where the inventory items are held in the player inventory. And so we just need to, basically I just copy this over. And I'll put that below this one. All right, spots. And let's see. I need to specify the number of rows inside the spots object. All right, I'll do that. It should be the same number of rows and columns in the UI grid. It's 8 to 12. That's 8 and 12. That's what we start with for the default. So I'm going to keep that. So let's go back over here. Make sure that is set up for our, when I press play. I think it will be by default, but just want to double check. Oh yeah, reminder, press like, subscribe, comment. or you're chatting, so I guess that's commenting. Because all that stuff is basically stuff that tells YouTube that, hey, there's a cool stream happening right now. You should come check it out, and it will show my stream to other people, and they'll come and see, and they'll come participate and say hello. And then later on, after the stream is over, it'll more likely to show other people that the stream did exist and that they should watch it post live stream. All right, so let's look at the game data. Spots, are we 812? Yes, we are. So spots isn't set up, but that's something that will happen during the adding of the inventories, because the inventory class itself has methods. I'm going to go back to the scripting docs for these. Scripts. I might need to reset how I organize this. Is it panel? Where's display objects, remove objects? That's the panel. I don't want to do the panel. I want to do not panel manager, not on-screen item. Did I not put the scripting for that yet? I may not have done it yet. I'm still in progress, but I'm looking for the scripting for the that drives the adding of the adding. But okay, we'll find it. So that's game modules, inventory, scripts. Let's see, spots. All right, so spots has a couple methods that we will utilize, and I could refer back to the demo scene. In fact, let me be smart about this and refer back to the demo scene. So the reason why I added all these debug logs, which you can turn off easily by just toggling that, is to make it easier to find where key things happen in the demo scene, so you can kind of just copy it. So like, for instance, when I add in something to an inventory, I see here, I need to update that because it's cool that I've got this class, but I need to figure out how to, I think Jason Story told me to wait, but I need to figure out how to get it to refer back to this part, not that part. Why is this? All right, where are we? Item can fit in the inventory. So this is add item to inventory. This is really the what I want to call, and this is on my demo player. So I'm not gonna refer to this because this is in the inventory demo namespace. So I'm not gonna refer to it, but I am going to copy it and kind of steal it for my other project. And in my other project, let's see. So skills, leather, and I said I wanted to do that. Where is that magenta? Right there. Yeah, that's been a lifesaver. Adding the colors in the debugs has been so, like, I don't want to get rid of these debugs yet because I'm going to use them, but having the colors means you just look for the color rather than anything else, and you can change the size too. Yeah, that's been really cool, a lifesaver. All right, so we're adding it here, I believe. Inventory add. Okay, making a clone of the item. That's great. I think some of this is going to be redundant. So let me just read through. Starting item. So the item name is get the item name. If it has no item name, I could probably clean this up. But if it has no item name, then we're going to return. I know I've been using Unity for 8 years and I never knew that. Oh well. You live, you learn. There's just too much to learn. That's the problem. All right, so we got, if it has an item, then items.get item name equals null. There's no starting item. All right, but let's say we have a starting item, then we're going to do this stuff. So now I'm just going to give myself some space, copy that in. Character creation scene controller. So we're going to need the player spots. what is this referring to? Are we setting this up smartly up here? No, that's that. So active player is what we're really looking for there. So active player spots. Setup. That's going to set up the spots so that they're, if they're already set up, then it won't do anything. But if this is the first time this is being called, then it'll set up all the grid for the spots. And we're going to copy this into here. And spots. All right, so we got those. We're going to get the spot that we can put this item. And where's our item? Do we have an item? Did we actually... We did do something with it, right? Or do we do that down here? Okay, so we're going to create an item. New item equals... We're going to do this down here, this clone. So the item class has a method for cloning an item. So we're going to basically get the item and clone it into this new item. And then we will see if we can fit that item here. So if we can't, one of these will be -1 if we can't. And panel manager, so I'm going to using static infinity pbr.inventory.panel manager. This is a neat trick. If you haven't seen this trick, Jason Story taught me this one, so you know it's cool. Using static, this is a static method on, or static, static reference right here to itself, and then on these other scenes I can link it to that. So when I go down here, I can just say panel manager, and I don't have to worry about linking it otherwise. So that's cool. And we're going to be doing new item, and we don't need to make another clone. So we're just going to add the new item. And we'll figure out why that's not working. Let's just read through. Okay, we got the spot. If it doesn't fit, it will here in this context, because the players have nothing in their inventory. But then it would give a little thing. And then I just realized we should be adding this to the player class over here. Isn't that funny? So this is a character creation controller, but really this is going to be right here. And let's see, I've got remove from inventory. Do I have add to inventory? Add to, no, add item. Add item. Huh. Look at that. I totally have an add item thing right here. I'm going to rename this to inventory just to be very explicit. This is my old code, which was not nearly as good as my new code. So I'm going to go back to my other writer here. Where is my other writer that I stole from earlier? Right here. Copy that. Paste it here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, instead of what we were doing here, I'm just going to, let's see. Okay, I'm going to comment this out for now, because I believe all of this will happen on the player instead. So let's set that up here. I apologize for leading us all astray. Add item to inventory. What we need is not a name. We need an item. So we'll pass an item. Are we equipping it? That's a helpful add-on. Okay, so we'll keep that there. I believe we are going to equip it, so I wonder if that means... Oh, that's actually a good call out, because if we're equipping it, then I'm not going to add to the inventory, or I'm going to add to the inventory and then immediately equip it. Huh. So a couple things as I look through this is, so if I have a, well, okay, let me show you instead of just talking through it. In the demo project over here, we're going to show the ugly demo project. We're going to add a couple armors to this player. We're going to equip one here. And when we equip another one, clear that out, it does that. And it picks up the old one. And that's really cool. So let's show that again, and I will not, there we go. And if I pause here, so what we're basically doing, we picked up the item, try to pick it up, we did pick it up. Then we drop chain armor onto the equipment. And this happened at the same time, basically. The equipment button got clicked. Then because there was already an armor of that type here, we will pick it up. So that's a concept we need to do for the same, for our code as well. And so while I do my mental gymnastics to make that happen over here, let's start with the basics, just adding it to the inventory. And then we'll do the equip over here. Because we'll bypass the adding if we do the equip, but let's just do the adding first. We'll get that working, and then we'll move on one step at a time. So I need the panel manager reference up here, so we'll use that. Inventory.panel manager, and then go back to my red lines. Add inventory, okay, and then panel manager, item can't fit. These were passing the added through. And I will bypass this if equip debug.log. This is the color equals magenta. Oops. Trying to equip it, not put it in inventory. Update this / color and inventory. All right. And then we'll return, because if we are trying to equip it, that's a different thing entirely. All right. And then, okay. If it fits, great. If it doesn't fit, then it goes here. If it fits, it can fit. And then this is where we will say our items will be added, but we don't need to make a clone of it because, well, that's actually, what did I do on this project? Did I add the clone? Oh yeah, so I clone after we add. So we pass the existing item in, and then we clone it when we want to actually move it, rather than passing a clone of it in. So we'll keep that. How come this is blank? What do I call my inventory? That's right, it was hidden down below. Inventory. I just call it inventory. All right, that's fine. We'll just call it that. Inventory, add the clone. All right, and then the last item added hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. Last item added is important for some reason. Because I'm adding like spots this to the grid. So why do I need this though? Why did I use last item added? We're saying the value of the spots. Last item added is probably just a helper. Yeah, get last item. So we'll copy this one too. It might come in handy. Where's my inventory section? I need to like make a big something like this to really see inventory section. That way it'll be a little bit easier when I'm scrolling through the code to see the inventory section. And we will say last item added is get last item. Let's copy this from here. Whoops, over here, and inventory. All right, that's just a I think, wait, I can do an easier way. Yeah, so let's see. It's the easier way is inventory.last. I believe, yeah, that's what. For some reason, I've always had issues getting that to work, and I don't know what the real issue was, but this is the way to go, really, because it's a built-in method, so we really don't need that last item added at all. So I'm going to remove it because we don't need it. That's what I'm going to do. And here we are. All right, so if we are not equipping it, then we're going to make sure the spots are set up, find the spots that this item can fit. If it can't fit, we're going to say that and return. And if otherwise, we're going to say we can, just put a debug out that we can, add it, a clone of it to the inventory, and then set the spots of that into the dictionary so that the item knows where it lives, and then add the item to the inventory grid, which is on the spots class, and that will basically add the item into those grid spots. So that should work as we expect. We can test it though. So let me just, let's see. Christopher says, when the player starts the game, will the inventory be all empty and nothing equipped, or be wearing rags and something with, yeah. I think for this one, the base clothing will just be separate. Like, you know, it's not, the base clothing aren't themselves a thing that you equip or not. And if you actually notice, I've got them dressed by default with like basic shoes. So those are, you know, if you don't have boots equipped, you're going to be wearing basic shoes. We'll just assume that those are somehow always with you. Same with the shirt and the pants, just basic clothing. Yeah. So did I actually update the code? I didn't update the code, did I? So we can't test it. We have to update the code first. Go back to Rider. So what we're going to call is add item to inventory on the player at this step. So we're going to pass through player dot active player dot add item to inventory, and we're going to pass the item that we are getting. So I do need this part, and I will not make a clone of it. So we're just getting the item, and we're going to pass the new item in, and we are not equipping, so we can leave that false. And that should do the trick. We are going to modify this to say, yes, we are equipping, because we do want it to equip to the player. And that means not putting it in the inventory, but rather putting it to the equipment spots. And if there is something in the equipment spot, moving that into the inventory. So, all right, let's see if it works. Leather. Aha. Ah, we have an issue. What's the issue? We don't have a panel manager. That's the issue. All right, so we don't have a panel manager. If I refer back to my documentation, panel manager, this needs to be, so this is part of the scening class setup. Let's see, required scripts. This script needs to be there somewhere. We're not going to make use of the on-screen item in this scene. That's the item that you can carry around. That's all going to be handled automatically. But if I'm going to add the panel manager just to have it in here. So I'm going to add it to this object. Oops. Panel manager. I don't think I have to do anything else. But let's see. Skills. Leather. All right, good. We should see some colorful things. All right, fits this inventory. Now we can check, did it actually get to the inventory? Let's look at our player. So player inventory is not filled, so that's an issue. I I believe that should be filled. And spots should say that there's an item here. And they do not. Am I in the right player? Yep. Well, that's interesting. Why isn't it there in the inventory or the spots item? Okay, it is in the spots. So it got past the spots, but for some reason it's not in the inventory. Well, let's see the code. Okay, add to inventory. Do we just not add it to the inventory? No, we add it right here. Yeah. It should be added. And the fact that it got added over here tells me that it did work. But let's see. Debug.log. Inventory is now. Inventory.count. Items. So let's just check to make sure that inventory does in fact have one item. In fact, let's even go a little bit further. And we'll say if inventory.count is greater than 0, then we'll say debug.log item last is full name. Okay. Let's just double check that this is getting added as we expect. This is a game I would like to release one day, but it's also a demonstration demo for my products and art. And I'm actually using I'm using this as the reason why I'm making the modules, basically. I'm making the modules not only to make it so that others can use them, but I'm going to make use of them, dog food my own stuff, and essentially anything that I need for this game, if I can make it into a module that makes sense, then I will. And that's where I started with the stats and then the items and stuff. Now, like this inventory makes use of the dictionary in the items module, which is similar to the character creation demo I put out, which is essentially a stripped down version of this scene. That makes it easy to get that functionality in your project and then customize it. That's the idea, so that you don't have to make my project. You can make your own project, but utilize a lot of the same things that I'm using. So, all right, let's see. Try it again. Yep, so it's in inventory, but then suddenly it's out of inventory. Why is that? Why is that? Let's see. If we add an axe, it didn't go up. But does it say that there's 2 items? Nope, it says there's 1 item. So somewhere inventory is being removed back down to 0. Gosh darn it. That is not what I was hoping to see. Because that means that some other part of my code is messing with it. And if I clear this out, we've got technically 2 things added. Let's add a third, mace. And we can see inventory has 1 item. But we know inventory oh, what? Now it worked? Now? Wait a minute. Why did it work on mace but not the others? Interesting. So suddenly now... nope, that didn't work. Interesting. Oh, I know why. Because my code is switching them out. Because I already have some code to do some of the functions that I needed. But I'm trying to update that code. And my code is messing with the new code. Alright, so let's dig a little deeper. Let me just equip something and we'll see all the debug logs. And all right. I should have cleared that out. Let me redo that. Should clear out the starring debug logs, make it a little bit easier to see. All right. So, what is actually happening here? Toggle scale. So we know that at this point, inventory is 1. But we also see that inventory is 0. So, add default equipment. This is probably where it's happening. And we call this from activate purified groups on active player. Yeah, and so I think if we read through this, what it's doing, it's going through the, let's see, equip spot equals blank. Remove items is a new list of items to remove. We're going through the inventory. For each inventory, set the proper equip spot. Which I want to keep that because I've got left hand, right hand and stuff. Equip spot. Now this is different from the spot that I have, and that's going to confuse me a little bit. So, player equipment spot. So let's update this real quick. We'll say player equipment spot. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so to be more explicit. Let's see. So we're grabbing the equipment spot, and on the data itself, this is this section right here. Once this finishes doing its thing, okay, equipment spots is here, and when we look at body, we're going to see the leather vest. So I think, you know, now that I think about it, I know earlier I said, oh, I've led us astray, and I moved the stuff here to here. I think that is somewhat correct, but also somewhat wrong. And so I need to, I found it easier since the character creation scene is like a very specific use case, right? I found it easier to not necessarily share code in all cases, since it is such a unique situation. So what I think I'm going to do is make a debug here, and we'll make this red and just say this needs to be updated. This needs to be updated. And we'll put 5/7/2021 for us. What is that? This new system has been confusing me. All right, so I put that there. That needs to be updated. Instead, what I'm going to do is, I know this is silly, but I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to basically redo what I was doing earlier and add the code to this explicitly. I think that would just be a more efficient use of time to get the result we want now, and I can always refactor it later, but my goal right now is to get it working. So this is where I'm going to add it. Luckily I didn't delete stuff, I just commented it out. Good for me. That's good practice. All right, so let's do this way. All right. What part had I commented out? Oops. All right, from this part down. All right, so we got new item. We haven't cloned it yet, so that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Items. But really this is going to be inventory. Or active player.inventory. Add a clone. Okay, and then active player.inventory.last. We'll copy that. Add the spot, add it to the player spots. Okay, we're gonna have to do some other magical things with the spots to make sure we remove it from the spots, but there's a method for that. Okay, and then we're going to clone the item into the player's inventory. Now, we already did that up here. Their inventory is their items list. So we already did this. We're not going to do it again. And then activate prefab groups on active player. Now, that's going to go through the inventory, removing default equipment, re-add all the default equipment, and all that. And that's fine. I'm okay with that, but I think what I need to make sure is that when I do the remove and the add, I'm also integrating with the spots to make sure spots gets its updates. And so, yeah, so when we add a default equipment, we'll start with that. What we're doing here is going through the inventory. If there's an equip spot that we can equip, and for right now, it's just going to be body in the hands and stuff. Well, yeah, probably just body in the hands. And if it's hands, then we're going to see what hand it is. At the start, you can only hold one item. It's going to be right hand. I'm not going to deal with left and right-handed options. So at the start, it shields your left hand. Non-shield is in your right hand. And then get our player's equipment spot. And that part can probably be deleted later. If the spot is filled, then we'll do nothing, because we start by removing all the spots. So if it filled, that means we already filled it up in this cycle. And so we're going to make a clone of it before removing it, and then assign. Wait, isn't this the same thing? Yeah. So this is incorrect, right? Because player equipment spot item equals item clone, and then we're item equals item. That's not. So that's needs to be removed. That was probably a bug that I didn't catch. Activate group on the character. That's great. This is where we need to remove from the inventory. And if we're removing it from the inventory, this is on the player, which is great. We also need to remove it from spots. So item to remove. So we're basically going through the inventory, removing that. I believe, though, I don't have a method for that, do I? I don't think I have a method for that specifically, because let's see, remove from inventory, nothing. Unequip item. So here we're doing similar things. We're looking through the equipped items, removing it, and what just happened? Unequip item. I see. So on the equipment panel, we're unequipped. Wait. Why was this? Okay. So when we're picking up an item, and this is in the equipment panel, the on-screen item. So we're not gonna copy this. We're gonna. Yeah, I think I have it too, Father Joe. Remove the item. Or remove button item. Data active player unequip item. So that's where we're unequipping the item here. And now we just need to remove it from the spots. And to do that, we have remove item from spots. And that's basically going to go through, get the spot that the item is in, and then get the width and height, and then remove all the spots. We're going to get a list of all the spots in that grid and then remove. So we're going to call this. Okay. So character creation scene, remove from inventory. And so I'm going to put that here. Remove at. Do I need to specify? No, I don't need to specify. I was wondering if I need to confirm that I was actually able to remove something, but I don't think so. And we're going to break the loop if we do remove that. And then we're going to remove item from spots. So we're going to say spots.remove item from spots, and we'll just say item to remove. All right, so that should remove it from the spots when we remove it from the inventory, which happens when we equip. Now, the other side of this is when we add default, or is remove default equipment. Essentially, when we remove the default equipment, we're putting it back in the player's inventory, which means we also have to put it back into the player's spots. So here we are just hard coding this part, and I think, let's see, we might be able to simplify it just a little bit. Okay, sorry, I get distracted in my head. All right, so this is where we add the inventory, and then we do this. So basically going to do this exact same thing. I think I might just copy it for now. Remove starting item, or remove default equipment. So for remove default equipment, we're going through each equipment spot. If it's not filled, continue. Otherwise, deactivate the group. That's good. Add the item to the inventory. Okay. So let's flip this around. Wait, equip spot item equals new. Oh, that's just removing. Okay. Clearing out the equipment spot. That just adds an empty item. Okay. And then this part is, let's do that up here. And we'll say equip spot item. So new item is going to be a clone of that. So we'll place that there. And then we'll put new item here. So we're making a clone. And then, so I think then I could say, oh, that's why I said I'm not going to use that, right? Okay, so undo, undo. So I'm not going to use this. Might have to change that in the other area too. Make sure our spots are set up. Can fit the item. Add the item to the grid. That's the rest of that. So, yeah. All right, and then I wanted to check, do I still need to do this here? Because I'm going to not do that. Instead, I said I was going to do this. Now we already have a new item clone, right? Do we have a clone? No, we didn't make a clone yet. Okay, so new item's going to be a clone. So we're going to do it differently than we will in the actual game itself, just because the scene is slightly different. So we are adding the clone to the spots, and we're going to add the clone to the player inventory as well. All right, let's see if that worked. Right now the name is Legend of the Stones, which is very vague on purpose. It will be a first-person party-based role-playing game. Okay, let's see if this works. Skills, leather. All right, so we should have nothing in the inventory at this point. But we should have something in our body. Yes, we do. And where's our inventory? Down here. Ah, this should not be there. Because if we include chain, what happens? Oh my gosh, we had 4 for a second. Chain. 5 now. Okay, so that's too many things. So I think there will be magic in it. There will be all sorts of magic, or maybe not all sorts. Basic elemental magic, light and dark magic, healing magic, mind magic, stuff like that. Classic role-playing magic. So I think what might be going on is here. Add starting item. Let's see. Or maybe it's here because we're not actually equipping it. So first we remove default equipment. Okay, debug.log color equals blue. Remove default equipment / color. And then add default equipment. Okay, so first we're removing default equipment. That's not going to affect us when we first touch our thing, our leather armor, and then adding default equipment. This is where we're not removing it from the inventory, I guess, and it's supposed to be removed from the inventory. So for each inventory item, get the equipment spot. Okay, get the item, cache that, get the equipment spot, grab the equipment spot object itself. If it's filled, we're going to continue and do nothing. Otherwise, we're going to clone the item. We're going to activate the group, and then we're going to remove from inventory. So did this not happen? And we're going to say item to remove dot full name to make sure that we're removing that item, and then inventory remove remove from spots, debug.log fully removed item to remove.full name. Okay. All right, well, I got some blue stuff here. That's good. Doesn't need that yet, but okay. Leather. Let's look for our blues. Add default equipment, leather. Fully removed leather vest. Oh, did we? Let's see. Nope. So this is where I'm going to just add one more. And we'll do this. We'll remove count, and we're going to say inventory.count. And then right afterwards, we're going to say did remove. And just make sure that we're actually removing it here. I'm pretty sure we are. But maybe that for some reason we're not finding it. Yeah, maybe we're not finding it or something. And the other thing I wanted to check, did I want to check something else? Oh yeah, I want to look at the spots real quick. And get a bunch of errors now that we reloaded the scripts. Upheaval, hunted or prey. And the player has to decide whether they're hunted or prey, or hunters or prey. Let's see. Inventory, spots. All right, so it's not in the spots, so it does remove from the spots. So, okay, let's see. Maybe for some reason that part's not. Let's check to see that things are being activated. All right. Okay, somehow I'm adding 2, it looks like. That's the problem. So I am removing as expected, but I've added 2 before this point. And so let's remove 1. Let's see. How am I adding 2? I'm adding 1 here. How many places? 5 places, and I'm adding 1 here. That's why. So I'm adding 1 too many. That should be it, I hope. Let's see. Restart it. Clear this out. Leather. All right. Check our stuff. 1-0. Perfect. We should see then equipment spots has body has leather vest. And then we should see inventory spots as nothing. But if we equip chain, then now equipment spots has the curious in it. And our inventory itself, here's the curious there. And our inventory has the curious as well. It has 2 things though, and that's a problem. Okay, it still had a leather vest, it looked like, or somehow it got a leather vest. Let's try to figure out where that came from. All right, so we will equip a leather vest and confirm that the inventory has nothing in it. All right. Now, when we pick up this chain skill, it's going to redo the equipment. And since leather was added first, leather will still be on the character, but it's officially going to be taking it off and putting it back on. And so that's where we get to inventory items. And so, oops, pause that. So that means item can fit into this inventory. This is where it's happening. So we are adding it on, let's see, panel character controller. Is it here? 460. So I'm removing default equipment. Is that doing that for both of these? Okay, so that's adding it, then we're removing the default equipment. And that's proper. We do want to remove default equipment. So that's a good thing. And then it's here that we're okay. So let's walk it through. We should have only 2 right here, not 3. So again, we must be adding a second entry. So I think if we just look for this again, that could be right here. Yeah. Okay, that is where I think we're 2 of those again. I think that's it. So let's check it. Let's try it. Upheaval is an RPG in survival plus building. Over $500 worth of Infinity PBR monsters. That is cool. That's a lot of monsters. I like the idea. Survival plus building. I don't play survival games myself, or I haven't. But they do have a draw to me in some ways because I like building things. I like building, and for a survival thing, like figuring out the best way to, make use of what's around me and all that. That is appealing to me, for sure. As a player, I don't play too many games actually myself. Let's see. All right, leather, chain, and equipment. Or inventory rather, has only the curious. Okay, cool. And if we take that off, it goes away. Spots are not being removed. Okay, so that's something. All right, what was the last thing we did? We remove starring item chain. Because toggle skill chain, unlearn true, and then remove starting item chain. Okay, so if unlearn, then we're going to remove learn skills, remove skill name. Okay, remove any starting items here. Remove starting item. Okay. It probably won't be used. That's nice for myself to give myself that information. So this is where we need to remove from the spots, I suppose. Do we not do that here? No, we don't. We call this twice, and spots. Do we not have a spot where we remove from spots? Get it? A spot where we remove from spots. Let me just check something, make sure that spots is being removed as we expect. Where's my spots? All right. Okay, so it's being removed there. If I remove leather armor, that's fine. If we add chain, that's fine. And then if we add leather, spots has leather. If I remove leather, it does get removed. No, it does not get removed. Okay. Interesting. Let me try it a different way. We have leather. We will add chain. And spots has chain in it. Now if I remove leather, then spots has nothing in it. Okay, so the issue is that when I remove something that's already equipped, so if I add leather now, whoops, yeah, if I add leather, then it gets added, but then when I remove it, it doesn't get removed. So it's got to be somewhere here, or maybe it's these that's causing the issue, the remove default and re-add default. You see it didn't actually get the default stuff there. So it's definitely getting confused. I'm going to say this is where it's having the issue, but let's find out. So active player.spots. Oops. Remove item from spots. We have to pass the item. What's item name? Oh, wait a minute. This is removing it from... I think this is leading me astray here. Remove starting item. Get the equipment spot. Active player, remove equipment. So no, this is not what we're doing here. This is not removing it from the inventory. Right? Wait, what? What is this doing? Remove equipment. Yeah, so it should remove it from spots. Oh, wait a minute. So I have to remove from inventory. Remove equipment. That's why I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, remove equipment from a spot name. That's all that's doing. It's just re-saying that the spots. Okay. So that's resetting the spot to an empty item and nothing else. When we remove a starting item, why are we removing a starting item here? All right, so this is saying, I see. So if we are, this needs to remove it from the inventory or the equipment spot regardless. And that is then why we're removing it from the inventory. We're removing from the equipment spot. We're also removing from the inventory. And that's happening here. Looks like it's might not be happening. I should just remove this and do that one instead. So let's see. Where is my item? Where is my item? Okay. So if I don't have the item name, so instead of doing this, I'm going to say remove from inventory and provide the item inventory I. So that's then call this and remove the item that way. So if we've got an issue with all that, hopefully that will solve it. Okay, leather. Inventory 0. Equip chain. Okay, now if the issue was happening when I removed this, the one that wasn't equipped. All right, inventory 0, objects are 0. If I do shield, I can equip it. If I do axe, I can equip it. These are all that. But if I do remove shield, great. If I add sword, now sword's in my inventory and in my spots. If I remove the sword, that should remove them from both. Yep, remove from spots, remove from inventory. Let's do it the other way. Oh, now sword's there, so now we should see axe, but we don't see the axe, so that's another issue. That's another issue entirely. Okay, so that's another bug. Let's solve that one. Play with the sword and the axe. Let's see. All right. So we equip a sword, and it is right hand. Yep, sword. Let me close left hand. Right hand sword, and no inventory. Equip an axe, or select an axe. Now we have the hand axe there, and still have the sword in our right hand. Okay. So now if we remove the axe, we removed it from spots, removed it from our inventory, and we also removed sword from the right hand. Okay. So that was the issue. All right, let me isolate the debug logs. So add a sword, add an axe, clear this out. We're going to see incorrectly short sword being removed when we remove the axe. Yes, okay. So somewhere in here, we are removing the right hand when we shouldn't be. Aha. So this is what I'm thinking is happening. Wait, remove hand axe, right? Because, okay, never mind. Toggle skill hand axe. We're unlearning the hand axe. Remove any starting objects. Yes, we're going to remove starting item axe. For the axe skill, the equipment is hand axe. We removed it. We fully removed it, which means we remove it from the spots as well as from the inventory. Then we're redoing the default equipment. Aha! Are we adding to the inventory here? If we're not adding, then that is why, because we'd be removing the default sword, but not adding it to the inventory, and this one goes through the inventory. So we need to make sure we add it to the inventory here. So let's do that. Do I have any debug logs here? Can fit into this inventory? Yeah, so that did not happen. This part did not happen. And since that part didn't happen, okay, for each equipment spot, okay, let's make sure we are, okay, debug.log, trying spot, equip spot dot name, okay. Then we'll do debug.log is filled. Yay. Okay, is filled. Then we're going to deactivate the group on the model. That's okay. Save the item as a clone. That's also okay. Aha, so maybe I should bring this back. So add it to the inventory here. Do the spot setup. And don't add it to the inventory down here. Because remember earlier we had 2, so maybe I just removed the wrong one. And that's what was happening. It couldn't, maybe it was doing something. Let's just see if that worked. As a reminder for those of you watching or those watching later on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That'll give you notifications when we release new content, and we're releasing a fair amount of new content, so that's cool. Appreciate it if you do that. Okay, let's see if this works. now. All right, sword and axe, and let's do the test. So we have the sword in our right hand. If we remove the axe, still got removed. Okay, well that's too bad. All right, pause this, go back to Rider. Wait a minute. Didn't I just... Oh no, I see. Okay. Do we have in the inventory our sword? No. Okay. Try and right hand. So it didn't seem to think that right hand was filled. Interesting. I wonder if when we remove hand axe, if we're removing from the spots too, that would do it. From the player equipment spots, not the inventory spots. I need to rename player equipment spots to something else. Okay, remove from inventory the item to remove. Here we are just removing from the inventory. That's standard. And removing from spots, that's standard. Neither of those will affect the equipment spot, but let's see. Really? So this is part of remove starting items? Oh, that's different from default equipment. Okay. Confused myself here. Happens a lot. Okay. So removing starting items, skill name. Where do we see that? Right here. Okay. Set the proper equip spot. Deactivate group. So this is the part where we need to say, hey, if it's not equipped, then we don't do this. That part's set here because it won't deactivate the group if the item name isn't. I believe it won't. Yeah, because it's going to look for that combination, key value pair, basically. Active player. So this is it right here. This is it right here. Okay, so I need to only call this if the item is actually equipped. So can I change? I don't want to change that. All right, so we're gonna say if the active player dot equip and spots get equip spot of equip spot dot item equals do I have a link to my own item here? No. Item dot full name equals item name. Then we will do that. So first we're going to check to see if the equipment spot item name matches. If it doesn't, then we will not remove it. All right. right, let's try again. Sword, axe. We're looking to see that this stays short sword. It did. Good. Axe, mace. Mace, good. Mace, good. Axe, perfect. And we should now have no items in our stuff. No inventory, no spots. All right, good. I would say it's probably working. So now the thing is, it's none of this is integrated into the project yet. So if we, I'm going to actually do this for that. If we just throw some stuff on these characters and then do some stats to get to our, oh, I need to assign one more skill, it looks like, in order to play the game. Who needs a skill? This one needs a skill. Start your journey. Test May 7. Start game. So all these player data will stay the same. What we haven't done yet is adding all the stuff to this scene. Now that we are adding the, hopefully adding the items correctly in the character creation scene, in this scene itself, which is, wow, that's a slow frame rate. I don't know what's going on there. We don't have the inventory set up yet at all. And that's where we need to do. And obviously this is wrong too. That's not what we saw earlier. It's not the same character, so we need to do a lot more there. But that is a time for either another live stream or just me doing it on my own. So that means this live stream is coming to an end. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, which was getting those working, which is always great. So I want to thank everyone. Father J, you just came back at the end. I'm about to sign off. We got it working. We got it working now. But the next step is just more stuff, and it's almost time for lunch here, and I want to go outside and take a walk because it's a nice day. And where I live, it's cold most of the time, but today it's, well, might be a little cold, but yeah. Anyways, thanks for joining, everybody. Real quick, was the audio only on one side of your head, or was it in stereo? Does anyone have headphones on and was like, what the heck? It's only coming from my right ear. Because for some reason, it's only in my right ear when I turn my volume up. I don't know why. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Like, subscribe, click the bell icon. Tell your friends. Tell your family. All right. Thanks, Chad. Stereo. Yeah, I know when I turn my headphones on and off, I hear it in stereo. So for some reason, I'm only getting one channel through my own computer. Not sure why. But all right. Thanks, Chad, for confirming that. Thank you for Christopher and everyone else for joining. And have a great rest of your day or night.